Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. So today I am going to explain to you 80% of what you need to know about autism in less than 10 minutes. So if you've ever heard the 80-20 rule, basically that's what we're applying to learning about autism. So why should you watch this? Because you're either one, wanting to learn about what autism is, or two, it helps to be able to quickly explain it to other people. It's unreasonable to be able to expect other people to accept autism if they don't first know about it. So let's start with the medical term. Autism is actually the autism spectrum disorder, also abbreviated as ASD. Autism is defined as a neurodevelopmental disorder. They categorize those challenges into four main categories, including social interactions, cognitive impairment, speech or nonverbal communication, and restricted or repetitive behaviors. The reason it's considered a spectrum is because the people on it have different strengths and challenges within all four of those categories. People commonly think of the autism spectrum as low functioning and high functioning. 56% of those on the spectrum are considered low functioning, meaning they have a below average IQ. The concept of high functioning refers to anybody with an average or above average IQ, which accounts for about 44% of those on the spectrum. Although it is worth noting that high functioning is a very deceiving term, and if you want to learn more about that, I did an entire video on it. I'll link up here why you need to know the history of autism. It's a really good short and sweet video, and it gives a lot of information about not only why high functioning isn't actually a medical term, but Aspergers as well. So let's get into some important facts about autism. 40% of those with autism are considered nonverbal. About half of kids with autism are also diagnosed with ADHD. More than half on the spectrum have chronic sleep problems. About a quarter of people with autism also have an anxiety disorder. Children with autism are 8 times more likely to suffer from chronic gastrointestinal disorders. And if you know somebody on the spectrum, please be very much aware that 90% of deaths of children under the age of 14 on the spectrum happen due to drowning. So please take water safety very seriously. Autism is a lifelong disorder, meaning that it's not something that ever goes away. Intervention is considered to give those living on the spectrum their best opportunity. In 2020, the CDC reported that 1 in 54 children are now being diagnosed with autism. And boys are 4 times more likely than girls to be diagnosed. So let's talk about diagnosing autism. There is no actual medical test to diagnose autism. The diagnosis is based on observation and usually some parent and teacher reports. 12 to 18 months is usually when you can start seeing red flags arise. But most obvious signs are present around the age of 2 or 3. Although most children are still not being diagnosed till the age of 4. Late diagnoses are becoming much more common. My son was diagnosed just before his 12th birthday. That's considered a really late childhood diagnosis, while there also are a lot of adults that are being diagnosed with autism now as well. So let's dive into some general common signs of autism. Usually it's no speech or loss of speech, blabbling, social skills, things like that, avoiding eye contact, preferring isolation, difficulty understanding what other people are feeling, delayed language development, constant repetition of words or phrases, repetitive behaviors such as flapping, rocking back and forth, or spinning, resistance to minor changes in the routine, restricted interest, and unusual or intense reactions to any of the 5 senses: smell, sound, taste, texture, lights, things like that. So we also need to talk about what causes autism. The thing is, guys, they still don't know. I know, not the answer you want, but that's where we're at right now. Research is indicating that genetics do play a pretty good factor. Children born of elderly parents are considered to be at a higher risk, and autism does tend to run in families. So if you have a child with autism, the second child is more likely to be affected. The CDC has stated that vaccines do not cause autism, although there are several people out there that still believe they do. This is usually due to developmental regression, usually found at the same time as the recommended vaccines. Developmental regression affects 1 in 5 children with autism. Contrary to what you're going to find on Google, autism is now considered a hidden or invisible disability. So you can't see it with your eyes. You can't tell by just looking at someone. And if you want to know more about that, I do have a whole video on why my son doesn't look autistic, and I talk about that and the collar wheel. Super important if you don't know about that. And I think one of the major things that gets overlooked when we're talking about autism is the actual cost of autism. It's estimated that autism costs families a minimum of $60,000 a year on top of normal child raising expenses. This is usually due to all the special services, therapies, requirements, as well as loss of wages. Mothers of those with ASD tend to serve not only as mothers, but also as their caregivers, advocate, and case managers. Therefore, they are less likely to work outside the home, and those who are working usually make 56% less income. More than half of young adults with autism are unemployed. And if you're looking at those up to the age of 25, over half of them have never even had a paying job. And that is 80% of what you need to know about autism. Obviously, this doesn't cover every single thing. We're just hitting the highlights of it for you so you can have a quick synopsis to be able to share with other people, friends and family, especially when somebody comes up to you and says, your child doesn't look autistic. I'll link it up here, guys, if you haven't checked it out yet. We do a lot of informational videos. I have a whole playlist on it. I'll link it down below where we share different facts and things about autism. So I would really love it if you could share those with your friends and family, because the more we actually share this information about autism, the more common it's going to be, the better people are going to be at accepting autism. And that's what we all want, right? So please like and subscribe to our channel. We put out new videos every single Tuesday, but since this is still April and April is Autism Awareness Month, we are putting out new videos every single Tuesday and Friday. We will see you in the next video. Bye!
Click on this video. Will you please click on this video? Come on, push it. Can you please subscribe? Can you please push that subscribe button? Or, for the other video, just go and press this button. Go on, click this button, or this button, or this button. Well, mostly this button. I would like it if you did.